Maybe you just want to spread hate on purpose. In the comments section, all the hate comments about me are your one-sided statements. Even though I've never said that I hate him on my YouTube channel, you act like you know me perfectly well, explaining to everyone how much I hate him. However, he blocked me months ago and all the comments about me have been deleted. How did you know this? Could this be another account that belongs to Ohtani? These are the comments I left in Ohtani's comment section in the past. Do these comments look like hate speech? Now that I've made this response video, I can honestly say that I do dislike his gameplay, but before this, I never stated this publicly because there was simply no need to. Let me explain why I dislike his gameplay and his behavior. I noticed Ohtani when he first started making videos. He was a complete novice, but full of enthusiasm, constantly updating his videos. I frequently watched his new videos and was secretly hoping that he would improve, and that maybe one day we could exchange ideas. About a year later, his clickbait titles became a huge success, and his videos garnered a lot of traffic and praise. After that, he used clickbait titles in every video, claiming that he had over 4,000 hours of playtime. Some players discovered that he had increased his hours from 4,000 to 5,000 in less than a month, so for a long time after that, he maintained 5,000 hours and started changing the titles of his old videos. But it looks like he forgot to change a few things. Although he only knows the most basic judgment cut and doesn't know any advanced techniques, he still considers himself a master. I don't know why he considers himself a master at his level. I guess maybe he's just never watched any DMC gameplay videos because he can easily find gameplay videos that are better than his. One time I asked him, why don't you hone your skills to actually become worthy of this title? The techniques he uses are very basic and most players can learn them in under 100 hours of playtime. I also recommended some highly skilled Japanese players. He didn't respond, only uploading a new video titled, "Only 0.1% can do this." I realized that he had no intention of improving. He just wanted to continue enjoying the attention and praise from the clickbait while constantly lying, claiming to have played for 6,000 hours or that he was in the top 0.1% of players. These things are none of my business. I think as long as you're having fun and not improving is fine as well. One day he took on a challenge, but it took him a full 10 minutes to complete it. There were multiple instances of him panicking and randomly using dodges because he wasn't familiar with the boss's movements. If he had calmly used dodges at the right time, he could have recovered his DT much faster. So, I created a better method that only takes 2 minutes to complete. As a result, in his next video, he immediately used my new method and even mentioned in the title that it was a new method. However, he was not proficient enough in using this method, so his performance wasn't good. I was confused by his copying of my methods. I initially thought he had no intention of learning and just wanted to continue enjoying the praise from his clickbait. So I asked him again if he really wanted to learn. If so, I could make videos genuinely suitable for beginners. Later, I learned from my friends that they couldn't see my comments, and I realized that he had already blocked me. This is what really angered me. Since you didn't want to see me and blocked me, why did you still watch my videos and learn my methods? And you even called them new methods, implying they were your own. Now, of course, the various setups I invented aren't copyrighted. Feel free to use them if you want. And indeed, quite a few Virgil players have gotten inspiration from me, and I also learn new techniques from other excellent players. But when I see someone using my setups, I will point out the shortcomings so they can improve. Like Peculiar's Virgil Amethyst combo. I think it was unnecessary to repeatedly deactivate and resummon the doppelganger during some parts of this combo. You can simply use Recall to quickly bring the doppelganger back to Virgil's side. The ending of the first version of his combo is also a bit unnecessary because the continuous use of too many skills that require charging in place creates a lack of visual fluidity, like Dragon Breaker. I specifically made a new version for this and shortened the ending for his reference. I think this kind of interaction is very healthy. The most commonly seen setup now is this one, which I invented in 2022. Other players have also used this and they've performed exceptionally, like this guy right here. Looking back on all of this, it's very ironic. A player lies about his playtime and then blocks anyone who tells the truth, yet shamelessly comes back to my videos to learn new setups. Then he claims everything is his own original creation and that he owns the copyright. That's why I dislike him. I dislike his behavior, not him as a person. In fact, at times I can even appreciate Ohtani's content to some extent because he has an interesting playstyle, but he has no standards when it comes to his videos. He often makes Virgil walk around awkwardly just to move to the desired position and make some cool moves. If one day he decides to start learning how to actually play at an advanced level so he can live up to his title, I think that would be the best ending. This is essentially what happened. I actually think this whole thing is very stupid. There's absolutely no need for a video response in the first place. I shouldn't bother with any of the lies he tells. But seeing someone spread rumors about me regarding things I never said made me feel like I had to respond. And Ohtani just watched it all happen, even liking those comments, which means that he's aware of everything. I don't know if this started months ago, but he stopped responding to comments altogether. Maybe he realized that the more he said, the more lies he'd have to fabricate. Instead of actually trying to understand the game and responding to constructive criticism, he'd rather keep recording more clickbait videos to get more views. Unfortunately, only a very small minority of DMC players actually understand the game. On one of my streams, I killed an enemy using Yamato Combo A, which is just mashing the melee button frantically, and I kept getting comments in chat saying, "Great job, incredible combo," and I was getting praised for just, well, pressing the attack button. Now, I don't object to using clickbait. In the current YouTube landscape, it's hard to get noticed without it. Some players are incredibly skilled but don't get the attention they deserve. I also use clickbait on my channel, and it really works. And I'm not lying about that. I really did play for that long. When others doubted his playtime, I directly told Ohtani to post screenshots of his playtime like I did, which would dispel all doubts. But he just ignored it. I have no idea which of my videos you watched. If I say that I invented something, I'm referring to speedrunning tactics or combo setups. The fastest Virgil RTA method was invented by me. I also invented many speedrunning techniques for Virgil BP. Of course, there are several other very good players. We learn from each other, point out each other's shortcomings, and give each other advice. That's why we're so good. Starting in 2025, some new speedrunners joined. Of course, they also learned my methods. When I noticed something, I would tell them how to avoid mistakes and how to get even faster. Some players work very hard and soon surpass my record. Why were they able to surpass me so quickly? Because we spent a lot of time experimenting and improving from the initial version to achieve our current results. New players only need to learn the best methods that we invented. Over the past 6 years, I've helped many players. I thought everyone was willing to listen to feedback, but I was wrong. In DMC5, a player's skill cannot be gauged solely by whether or not they use mods. When I don't use mods, I hold the Virgil RTA world record. Even disregarding speedruns, I can also do freestyle, combos, boss battles. Each one is at a level you can hardly reach. The reason I use mods is because Virgil in the original game is way too restricted. Without mods, players would be stuck in the void forever, and even the combos they could perform would be limited. For example, this beginner level combo, which is also the most famous combo. As you can see, without the mod, you can't even complete this combo. This has nothing to do with difficulty, it's simply because the game doesn't allow you to do it. The game also limits Virgil's speed. Some advanced techniques, with the help of mods, allow players to fully utilize their speed. The combos you're seeing right now, I believe most people won't be able to see exactly what moves I used because I press the buttons extremely quickly. The reason I pressed the buttons so fast was because I didn't want anyone to see any unsightly movements. Super attacks can cancel Rapid Slash, but you gotta jump first to use Trick Up. The jumps here are completely unnecessary, but it's the only way to do it. So I used a mod that allows me to skip the jumps and also makes me faster. The differences should be quite clear from here. I want my visuals to be very clean. Therefore, I'll turn off the UI. I've added UI to one of these two identical clips. Which one do you prefer? Mods allow me to customize my gaming experience. I change the colors to my liking, probably because I'm so concerned about the visuals and whether the graphics are flawless. I use mods to fix some shadow issues. Without mods, I couldn't possibly perform these incredibly difficult combos. Ironically, I've been considered less skilled because I use mods. I've received quite a few similar comments saying that I'm cheating by using mods, or that I only know how to play the game by using mods. But I almost never bother to explain because what I'm doing is way too difficult. It's hard for me to explain in detail to most people what I'm doing. Even other players wouldn't easily notice all the details, but you'll find that it's way more difficult than it looks when you actually start practicing my setups. The setups of other skilled players are the same. I've practiced them as well, and quickly found them more difficult than I imagined. Since I mentioned I don't like Ohtani's gameplay and I find his combos bad, I have to explain. What kind of combos and gameplay do I consider good, and what kind do I consider bad? First, let's talk about combos. Before we begin, I must say that spamming the taunt button and defeating an enemy with just one move doesn't count as a combo, because that's just playing the game normally. Also, simply executing the character's preset attack animations in a sequence doesn't count as a combo either. A good combo is all about arranging all your movements logically, making sure each action is purposeful. I think a combo is better if it incorporates more advanced techniques, but blindly adding too many techniques while neglecting aesthetics will ultimately detract from its appeal. However, too many advanced techniques can make combos look unattractive or clunky. I must reiterate that these are merely my personal opinions, and my view on combos is primarily focused on their aesthetic appeal. For me, good combos also have different levels. As I mentioned earlier, incorporating advanced techniques in the combos is a plus for me. For example, the Virgil motivated combo is a good combo because each move is clean and doesn't confuse the audience. You can clearly see what Virgil is doing. Each move has a clear purpose, and all attacks accurately hit the enemy. However, it's very basic because it doesn't use any special techniques. All skills were used completely without interruption, and jump cancel was not even used. Without the music and editing, it actually looks very average. The difficulty is very low, and because of that, it's suitable for all Virgil beginners to learn. In this combo, though, Virgil no longer simply executes each skill in its entirety, but rather he breaks it down into smaller, shorter segments and combines them with other skills. Jump cancel and trig down judgment cuts also appear. Although it uses the doppelganger, they simply perform the same actions. This was a good combo when the Virgil DLC was first released in November 2020. Now a lot of players have improved significantly and can easily perform combos of this level in Freestyle. At this level, Virgil moves way more frequently and is more proficient in using the doppelganger instead of just repeating the same moves. You may have noticed that Virgil has way more movement options at the middle level compared to the base level. The position of Virgil in the enemy has also changed. This ability to change your position is crucial in combos. Fighting from the same spot without any movement would be incredibly boring, because unlike Dante, Virgil doesn't have multiple ways to move enemies. He relies more on his movement to create dramatic effects. The result of constantly moving the character and the enemy in their position is that the entire combo ends up looking smoother. In higher level combos, you can see that I use more methods to achieve positional changes. Many of these, if not explained, could only be understood by highly advanced, highly experienced players. The doppelganger part also uses a more complex setup. When the doppelganger knocks the enemy into the air, Virgil catches it. When Virgil knocks the enemy into the air, the doppelganger catches it. All actions have a clear purpose and are not just for showing off. This high-level combo is not only extremely difficult on a technical level, but it's also very long. To save time, I've sped up most of the combos in this video by about 20%. It's originally 40 seconds long. You can't make a mistake within those 40 seconds. If you do, you gotta start over. And those 40 seconds are filled with techniques that will take several days to master, and the player needs to execute all of them in one go. So, I usually spend about 2 hours recording combos, and designing a combo takes about a week or even a month. Casual players who haven't experienced this might find it strange. Why take so much time? It's because the process of creating a high-level combo probably isn't what you think it is. You don't start with a complete structure. The creation process requires constant testing to ensure stability. Some setups are unstable, so you gotta find ways to optimize them. Sometimes, after spending several days without results, you simply have to abandon that setup and design a new one. These are things that keep happening, and they're constantly repeated until a complete combo is born. Ultimately, the completed combo isn't necessarily extremely difficult, but its overall structure is very complete. If a player with sufficient skill were to practice it, they might only need a few days to learn those 40 seconds of content. I'm much more lenient with Freestyle because enemies move during missions. This means that there's RNG involved. Players can execute perfectly precise moves like they would with combos, because in Freestyle, enemies might be too close to the wall, or the space might be way too small to use certain setups, and there are a lot of things you gotta account for. You can see I tried to move the enemy to the center, but it died. This added an unsightly part of my performance, but because this is Freestyle, it's impossible to be as perfect as with a 15 to 30 second long combo, especially if it's longer. If it's about completing an entire mission, my requirements would be lower, because longer time means more RNG. Because I've accumulated enough skill, I can use these setups in Freestyle. These setups used to be my combos, but now I can use them freely. Some people even think the content in this video was pre-planned. Since it's a recording, I believe that anyone can be patient and simply re-record the video repeatedly until they get a good enough clip. Therefore, avoiding damage is the basic requirement. If you accidentally get hit but still manage to execute a great combo, that's fine. If you not only get hit but also fail to execute any combos, I'd like to think that you will eventually improve, but I won't laugh at you. Being bad at the game doesn't mean you should be laughed at, of course. But if you haven't executed any combos and have only demonstrated the most basic skills, yet you consider yourself a master, then I don't know what to say. If you think this gameplay is impressive, it just proves that you're a beginner. Judgment Cut is an incredibly basic skill. In the various complex combos that I've shown, you've probably noticed that Judgment Cut is just one component and it doesn't represent the entirety of Virgil and what he's capable of. The BP taunt, if designed well, can be incredibly cool, but when Virgil taunts, the enemy is either standing in front of him or he is trapped by an attack, so it will never fail. If you think it looks cool, it's just because the game design is cool. It has nothing to do with your skill. If you want to use the BP taunt, there must be a certain distance between the character and the enemy. Then you have Virgil catch the enemy who is being knocked into the air. If the enemy is simply waiting to be hit in front of Virgil, then the player doesn't need to do anything. They can simply go AFK. I'm not trying to deny the value of taunting. Taunting is a key feature of the DMC series. For example, in DMC 5, you can dance with Dante. But is it really necessary to do this in almost every Dante boss fight? These taunts were already discovered back in 2020, and they're no longer that impressive. Because the dance time is too long, most players don't even do this. New players may not know this, but that's not a reason to do it in every battle. After all that explanation, all I want to say is go watch other players' videos. DMC 5 has been out for almost 7 years. Just search for DMC 5 on YouTube and you'll find tons of videos and a lot of players that are incredibly skilled. After watching these videos, you should have a better understanding of your own abilities. If you search for Virgil Judgment Cut tutorial, you'll find that there were already a lot of excellent tutorials available from 5 years ago. You can even find this advanced tutorial which was completed on February 7, 2021. These are all fantastic tutorials and they're free. So I'm curious, what exactly does your paid tutorial teach? Bloody palace taunts? But you know what, maybe it is worth it, because after all, you played Virgil 6 years ago, and Virgil was released on November 10th, 2020. Since you played him before that, I guess you must be an insider tester and must have mastered a lot of techniques we don't even know about. Oh no, you already edited the membership benefits when I was making this video. Now you're no longer planning to create tutorials for your fans, and you've already deleted the promotional video for the membership. Maybe it's because you've noticed that you don't have much to teach anymore, because you've already made at least 4 identical Judgment Cut tutorials. So according to your titles, you've played for at least 9,000 hours. I find it hard to believe that a player who has trained for so long is still unfamiliar with the game and only knows how to do Judgment Cuts and spam the Bloody Palace taunt. Some might argue that playtime and skill aren't directly correlated and that players will never improve without practice. There are 2 things that have always bothered me: your lying and your playstyle. Now, the lying part is the easiest to solve. You can just take a picture to prove it. Okay, so since I've spent so much time on this, let me explain why I think his gameplay is bad and how it can be improved. First, the Bloody Palace taunt. If you really like this move, you should think about how to improve it instead of just doing the same thing every single time. I've already said that if the enemy is simply unable to move in front of Virgil, then there will never be a mistake. It's not special at all, and it lacks any sense of design. This move is usually used at the end of a combo, like Judgment Cut End and Hell on Earth. Players rarely use this move at the start of the combo because it simply doesn't look good. I've created 2 very easy combos, and then used Bloody Palace taunt at the end. Pathetic. I've also created a few combos using this move, but all of them used mods. The reason I chose to use mods is because the Bloody Palace taunt is way too restrictive. When using it, the doppelganger can only perform very basic actions and cannot execute high difficulty moves. This is because the doppelganger cannot use trick up and down independently, nor can it switch weapons. I was tired of the standard Bloody Palace taunt, so I chose to use mods that would allow me to perform way more difficult and creative moves. Basically, it's just Judgment Cut, Judgment Cut, Judgment Cut, then attacking in a preset order, and then continuously using Judgment Cut until the enemy dies. Yes, that makes perfect sense, because so far you've only learned Judgment Cuts in the Bloody Palace taunt. But now that you've played for 9,000 hours, you can start thinking about making actual combos. I know Dante isn't easily combo because his damage animations are quite unpredictable, but it's still possible to pull off some simple combos. Here, I use Doppelganger Cancel and Sin DT Skip. Then I finish with Sin DT Yamato Combo A. It's very simple, but I calculated the timing of the Stormblades hitting Dante as the finishing move. If you don't know what Doppelganger Cancel and Sin DT Skip are, go watch this tutorial. I recorded another clip of the Dante boss fight. You can use it as a reference. It only uses the Doppelganger Cancel. With practice, you can do it every time. Why make Virgil run? This reduces concentration. You should never let Virgil make these moves as it looks irrational and panicked, like a beginner randomly dodging because they're unfamiliar with the enemy's attack patterns. You should always use various dodging maneuvers skillfully to make your gameplay more stylish. The other stuff is just spamming the taunt button, and it's not useful at all. The most useful methods are Judgment Cut and Dragon Breaker. It only takes 50 seconds to defeat Dante. You just danced and used Judgment Card to kill enemies. I can't give you any advice because you didn't even do anything, you just went AFK. Please, do something. Do some combos. If you're facing a single enemy, there are absolutely tons of combos you can use. Just search Virtual Combo Mad, and you'll find all sorts of them. Please, go watch them. There's a reason you won't see players using this enemy for combos. It's almost impossible to knock it into the air, which means fewer gameplay options. If you're only on the ground, the number of actions you can perform is significantly reduced. Some might say, oh, DMC players think only aerial combos count. Those people don't understand or know what the hell they're talking about, because utilizing aerial advantages in conjunction with ground attacks allows for a wider variety of combos than ground-only attacks, so players choose to take advantage of this. Now, more and more games don't allow jumping for some reason, and even if you can jump, they lack aerial attack animations. So why can't DMC players utilize their advantage? Okay, you used the Bloody Palace taunt, but you didn't even touch anything. It's just a short video. Mistakes are okay, just start over. You could also cut out that awkward mistake at the beginning. You should have higher standards for your videos. Bro, I don't know, is missing a swing a cool move? I can't think of any reason to leave that mistake in. Why just walk? I know that during boss battles you sometimes gotta stop and wait for enemy attacks, but do some taunt, don't just stand there. But it's okay, because no matter what, there are people who support you. Are you gonna start making some high quality videos to repay them? Oh, August 13th. I made a Mission 2 video on August 10th. Basically, that whole video demonstrates how to improve. However, I completed the entire mission in one go, so my timing wasn't perfect this time. But at least I was in the right position and I didn't make any mistakes. If I had made a mistake or missed, I would have re-recorded the entire mission until I succeeded. I actually did this method many years ago. Later, I made a version with better timing. Okay, this parry is interesting. I use it in Freestyle too because it's very easy and it's foolproof. But why the ugly jump before summoning the doppelganger? Can't you just summon it directly? Then you just randomly attack the enemy and start taunting again. And the doppelganger's ugly walk, Bloody Palace taunt, and then you miss, so you try to do a very easy combo, and you still miss. Then you call this, only 0.1% can do this. If you make a mistake, you just start recording again. It's that simple. I think I've said enough. Besides the numerous technical issues, the biggest problem is your mindset. Even if a video is 50 minutes long, if there are just 5 seconds of cool moves, you'll upload the whole thing. You seem to think that everything is great, and you don't care even if there are some ugly moves. I remember when you first started using this method, you only knew how to block with the same move. Now you've practiced for 5,000 hours, and you still can't break the habit of making the doppelganger walk. At least you're not just using the same move to parry anymore. I guess you just need more practice to improve. Not everyone is good at video games. Maybe after playing for 10,000 hours, you'll finally reach the level of someone who's played for 10 to 100 hours. Then you can check out all the tutorials I recommended and look at other players' combo mats to learn from them. You may have noticed that I only comment on short videos, because a lot of flaws can be seen in just 60 seconds. If it were a long video, I simply wouldn't be able to finish. In fact, commenting on your short videos is equivalent to commenting on a long video, because you've been doing the same thing for almost 3 years. I originally intended to only review this video, but I changed my mind. If I had, it probably would have taken me over 2 hours. The things shown here, according to my earlier definition, cannot be considered combos at all. But I'm not saying you shouldn't play the game like that. It's just normal gameplay, randomly attacking enemies, doing whatever you want. And you made 2 identical videos. By the way, putting aside that you were able to play Virgil before the DLC was even released, your plan to pretend to be a beginner completely failed because it looks no different from how you're playing now. What I'm saying is, I know it might be more difficult to improve on the PS5 compared to PC. On PC, you can use a lot of different tools to help you increase your practice efficiency. For example, you can slow down the game so you can practice difficult setups at a slower pace, which allows you to gradually get used to these setups before slowly returning to normal speed. That's how I've always trained, and it's very effective. I would also recommend PC players to train using this method because you can learn a lot of complex techniques in a shorter period of time. This is a Chinese player who played Virgil for 200 hours. This is a PS5 player. This is just a recording of his practice. So using a PS5 is no excuse for not playing well. Regardless of the version, you can still pull off impressive combos. And in the end, what I want to say is that if you think you're a master and that you're in that 0.1%, then showcase your amazing skills and create beautiful gameplay. For example, you can create something like this. This combo design isn't great, but it showcases skill. I believe 6,000 hours of playtime with Virgil will allow you to perform these movements very quickly. But everyone has a different definition of what looks good, so I created two different gameplay modes for comparison. If you think the right half looks better, well...
there's no accounting for taste.